Let's podcast alongside Joe Giglio. I'm Joe Ovies inside Eford Studios in downtown Raleigh. Thanks to Empire Properties and thanks to Copiers Plus. Check them out online at copiers-plus.com. Print management, document management. Get your stuff to the cloud. It will not freeze in the cloud like I did.
Are you sure, dude? Have you thought out from your trip to Minneapolis?
So I think
St. Paul, sorry.
I haven't woken up.
Yeah.
Had some. Hey, look, man. At least my flight didn't leave Minneapolis and then crash land and flip upside down like it did in Toronto. Thankfully, everybody
was that coming out of Minneapolis?
Yeah, that came out of Minneapolis.
For real?
Yeah, that flight was I was a Delta flight out of Minneapolis, just like I was a Delta flight out of Minneapolis. So thankfully, everybody was accounted for, which is insane. Have you seen the footage of that plane crash?
I saw it upside down and some of the evacuation from it.
Dude, that's insane. Absolutely insane. So, hey, man, I'm here.
P's and Q's. Here we are.
All good. I think last week, I think it was in the mailbag, you went into like, bootstrapped energy hockey dad mode on me. You were like, you're going to go freeze your dick off. Joe, I'm here to tell you that happened, actually.
Well, not literally.
Not literally.
It's still there.
It's still there. But let me explain to you what it's like going into a porta-john in the Lake of the Isles outdoor skating area, like an actual on frozen lake. Let the kids having a blast. They have like a rink in the middle of it. I mean, it was a pretty cool experience for the kids. And I had to take a whiz. So, they got these warming huts. It's essentially a little double wide for you to put your skates on. And they have porta-johns. And I had to pee. That was not what I was expecting. If this is exposed for any longer, I might have hypothermia. I might get frostbite because it was like -8.
Now, I get it. It was the opposite situation in Better Call Saul. But I think in that particular situation, you're supposed to just go in your pants and warm yourself.
I was not going to do that. Not in my long johns. Absolutely not.
No, I think that's the play.
I did. Let me explain something to you. I have never experienced a cold like I did yesterday at -15. And when you walk out, your beard freezes because I had showered. It's still a little wet, right? I'm walking out and I could literally feel my beard freezing.
Yeah.
Jacob's hair froze outside because, again, he just he styled it, whatever. And I was like, okay, this is a really, I like Minneapolis. This is the second time I've been there. I think it's a really cool town.
It is.
Did you
get over to St. Paul or no?
Yeah, I had 2 games in St. Paul.
Okay.
That's a really charming city, man.
Yeah.
And went to,
it's crazy how they're different, right?
They are completely different. As
That's
you can
weird.
see, I went to Matt's bar and grill, the home of the Juicy Lucy. Gave the kids some culture, drinking some Grain Belt beer.
Nice.
That'll put some hair on your chest. And St. Paul's a really, really cool town. And I'm always reminded too, like how culturally things are different up there. I mean, people actually do say "you betcha" and "for sure." And I was kind of like, oh, wait a minute, that's a real thing. All right.
They were real specific, Wade. No caps.
And I'm also reminded, I say this when I go on these trips up north, I'm always reminded just like how different the youth sports culture is up there and just like how much more has to happen here locally, specifically with like hockey. I mean, we ended up playing a team from like they're called the Minnesota River Bulldogs. They're from like an hour north or like
they
an
need
hour.
To work on their nicknames, but
I know. But if you saw them, you're like, oh yeah, you guys came out the womb with skates on. I was talking to the coach. The coach like super, super nice. He's like, oh yeah, you betcha, all this stuff. And he's like, oh yeah, we're on the ice 6 times a week. I'm like, excuse me?
Pardon me?
6 times a week? My kid's lucky to get out. My kid's on the ice 1.5 times a week because they have an alternating Monday practice. And then the junior Canes will do like player development and all that kind of stuff. But it ain't like that. Goodness gracious. Like, it's just different, man. You got high school rinks, you got municipal rinks, you got all sorts of stuff. And you're going, oh yeah, man, we got a long way to go. But it's getting there. I know there's high school hockey that's developing here locally and whatnot. But it was a really cool trip, man. Like, I've never been on a frozen body of water before. Like an actual frozen body of water, not like an ice rink or whatever. Like, I'm talking about you're literally in the middle of a frozen lake and you've got husky dogs pulling a sled as people are just kind of practicing their Iditarod, or people out there cross country skiing across the lake. And I'm just walking across it and you can like see into the frozen water. I like, it's pretty, I've never done that before.
No snowshoes for you?
No, I just have my old North Face bougie Gore-Tex boots. To keep me warm. And on Saturday night, we wrapped up, played 2 games. Everybody's kind of tired. We also spent some time at another outdoor rink, little municipal thing that the kids could go play pond hockey and all that stuff. I even got on skates, which was a mistake. Shoved my feet into the size 10 skate. That was a mistake.
Not a good idea.
They didn't have a size. I looked for, they had a 14, which is too big. I'm usually a 13, could not find. And these used skates that you can borrow. So I crammed my feet into a 10.
No, Joe.
That was a mistake. But I got out there. Regardless, ended up getting back to the hotel. Everybody's kind of spent, and everybody want to watch the Four Nations with USA Canada. Right? So everybody's gathered around. It was kind of funny because there were some Canadian youth teams that were there as well. We actually played a team from Alberta. And
we don't talk about a different kind of cold.
That's man. A different kind of cold, different kind of Canadian too. But and I'll say this about the Four Nations. I know that the U.S. national anthem has been booed, and other people have takes on that and whatnot. But I would consider this, just think about this. What have you done in your life where people in Quebec are patriotic about Canada?
Ooh,
let's think about that. Think about,
and if you don't know, yeah,
right. Think about your own decisions. That people from Quebec are like, F yeah, Canada, let's go. Think about that.
It's pretty rare.
Pretty rare sight. Look inward when something like that happens, okay? So there was some USA chants, and it was entertaining to see all these youth hockey teams watching the game, the hotel lobby and whatnot. And I'm sure you talked about the fights and all that stuff and the whole thing, right? And I love it. I think it's great. And because I think what it ultimately comes down to is you're playing hockey at an intense level. This is what people want. Juxtapose that to what I watched on Sunday in a bar with the NBA All-Star game. I did not see Mr. Beast at the Four Nations tournament. I did not see Kevin Hart interrupting play after the Kachuk fights. Say, hey guys, it's now time to do a roast of the television crew. In the middle of it, right?
Oh, I didn't watch a single second of the
dude
NBA stuff. A, I didn't have any interest. B, wasn't it during the Saturday Night Live stuff?
It was during the Saturday Night Live stuff.
I watched all the Saturday Night Live
I need
stuff.
to watch Saturday Night Live stuff. That's on my to-do list this week when I'm catching up on things. Was it good?
It was really good. They did an actual episode. They didn't just do here's Colonel Inglis and Cork Soaker replay and more cowbell.
I heard
it was really good.
I heard they did in memoriam of problematic bits and characters.
They did.
Okay,
that was pretty good.
That actually is pretty funny. And then they did a musical thing on Friday or Saturday, right?
They had a separate concert. I did not watch the concert, but they also did have musical acts there. My girl Miley Cyrus tore the house down.
Oh, nice.
Yes,
nice.
She was amazing.
I saw my guy Bad Bunny was in the house.
Potentially.
Okay. I'm going to have to watch that kind of stuff. So you didn't watch any of the NBA All-Star game?
Not a single second.
I took in the NBA All-Star game essentially on a bar television.
Okay.
And every time I looked up, they weren't playing basketball. Every time I looked, again, this is the juxtaposition. And I get that the NHL, there's a larger conversation about what do you want out of All-Star games that I don't know if people are comfortable having. But let's talk about what we're witnessing here. The NHL, for all its faults, has 2 things going for it. A willingness from not just the players and the league itself, but the fans to accept these types of things. And they're putting together events like the Four Nations tournament that create actual intense competition. You like the game, so therefore you want to watch the best players play the game at a high level. That's why you watch. I mean, unless I'm missing something, is that why you watch? Watch the best play at a high level? I mean, that's kind of the whole point of sports, right?
Yeah.
Juxtapose that to the TNT broadcast, which has been a thing that's been in the back of my mind a lot with the Inside the NBA crew and how TNT presents the NBA. And you could just tell from the broadcast with no sound that they didn't give a shit about basketball. So why should I watch? If I want to watch a variety show, I would rather watch the Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary special. If I want to watch Kevin Hart, I will go on Netflix and I'll watch any number of his specials that are available. Okay. If I want to watch Mr. Beast do a bit, well, I got YouTube for that. The whole point of the All-Star game is to have the best players representing and playing at a high level. And even though they kind of reconfigured the format this year, it wasn't a traditional East-West type thing. It was these smaller teams playing to 40. And it brought out some level of competition, some intensity. But you know what ended up happening? They ended up interrupting the actual game for a 20-minute Kevin Hart sesh to do Gone Fishing with the TNT crew. And I'm thinking to myself, well, they're not going fishing. They're not retiring. It's not ending. They're going to ESPN. And as I'm watching this unfold, it finally like crystallized for me. Adam Silver has to have a conversation with their television partners and ask them a simple question. Do you like this game? Like, for real, do you like this game? Because if you don't, maybe you shouldn't be broadcasting what we do. And I'm specifically talking about Charles Barkley. I'm specifically talking about Shaq. And anytime they ever go viral or I ever see their stuff, I don't watch inside the NBA, but anytime I see something from them, they're usually just roasting the product. Which, if your audience also is in on them roasting the product, a bunch of old people who don't like the current game, well, everything you do isn't going to hit. So you have to present it. There's a podcast, I believe it was Trayvon Edwards who does it. And his whole point is, I think it's called, now he's doing it with ESPN, it's called Enjoy Basketball.
Yeah.
And it's somewhere along the line.
What an idea.
Right. And I'm like, I'm thinking about this because I know you're an NBA guy. Like, either you enjoy the basketball or you don't. Either you enjoy the NBA or you don't. And if you don't enjoy the NBA, then stop it. Stop broadcasting. Get out. And I guess that Charles Barkley, the money's too freaking good. And I guess he's also rewarded for roasting the league all the time, that there's no incentive to go. But if I'm Adam Silver, man, I'm seeing what's going around and I'm looking at all these other leagues and I get broadcasts that actually seem like they like the sport. And they go out of their way to present the sport, as opposed to the NBA that gives me a concert for player introductions, a comedy show, a Mr. Beast bit, and then a bunch of other stuff that's going on.
Are there NBA fans that care about Mr. Beast?
No.
How did I miss that?
No.
Co-centric.
It is a broadcast done by people that I don't think like basketball.
Yeah.
And that's a problem.
You also had two people. Well, first of all, Charles Barkley is interesting, right?
Yeah.
He could do golf. He could do whatever. He's an interesting guy.
Yeah.
I have never found a single thing that Shaquille O'Neal has said to be interesting. He always had that monotone delivery as a player.
Yeah, yeah.
And then every once in a while he'd try to give you the charm. Like his Icy Hot commercials are more interesting than anything he's ever said about basketball. I'm just being honest.
Fair. That's fair.
Now you got to think about the way that those two had success in basketball.
Mhm.
They were in the post, back to the basket, bully ball. They both played similar games.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist anymore in the NBA. The NBA's biggest problem is they're a game full of 3-point shots and not good 3-point shooters.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest problem that they have right now.
Yeah.
And I'm not one for the baseball talking about the golden at bat and all of this other stuff.
Yeah.
But I do think basketball should consider a 4-point play. And I do think basketball should consider maybe even moving the 3-point line back again. Or even abolishing it on the sides of the court where the teams have scammed them.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, the corners.
Just like we've seen in baseball eliminate the shift,
Mm-hmm.
they might have to make it an arc instead of a full all the way extended.
Yeah.
There's some things that they have to do because maybe even some more international league stuff where you're talking about the cylinder and incentivize playing closer to the basket the way that they do. Because right now it's just a 3-point shooting contest. And again, you don't have good shooters doing it.
Yeah.
And that's the biggest problem is the analytics say 3 is greater than 2, and you're better off taking all of these 3s than you are taking anything in the mid-range.
Yeah.
So that's basketball's biggest problem. How they package it is also a problem. Wanting it to be competitive. And some of the things I got into a little bit yesterday. Don't forget now, we're all excited about this hockey format because so far it's been sunshine, roses, and lollipops.
Okay.
In the sense that it's all worked out. You got the politics, you got the fighting, you got Canada, you got Anthem, you got America.
Yeah.
It is one giant perfect storm.
Mm-hmm.
But as we've seen with Kachuk, one of the Kachuk's already injured.
Yeah, he's already
I wonder when that injury happened.
Gee. Yeah.
Let me think.
Huh.
We're one injury, concussion, stupidity away.
Yeah.
Just as basketball had happened with Paul George in the Olympic run-up.
Mm-hmm.
Remember that. Paul George was at the height of his game.
Yeah.
Indiana carrying that franchise.
Mm-hmm.
He's never been the same player since.
Yeah.
Who was the big winner out of that?
But
the big winner out of that was Mike Krzyzewski, who went to the hotel room and got the media op. The hospital room and got the media op.
Yeah.
That was the big winner out of that.
That's the risk of playing, though.
Right.
That's the risk of
once
playing.
there's an injury in this, we're all excited about this 4 nations.
Yeah, I got you.
But if I'm Florida and Kachuk doesn't come back, or they fight again, or Sam Bennett gets hurt, I'm sitting here going, what the hell was that all that for?
Yeah. Well,
there's a reason you said good on good. And I think one of the reasons this format has been so exciting to people, and I'm guilty of this as well, they have not had players in the NHL decided for that very Paul George reason we don't want to risk our players. We're not making any money off of it. It's the real reason.
And now they are.
Okay. So they said in 2014, we're not sending players to the Olympics again. Now they are going to do it in 26.
They are going to do it again.
So we hadn't seen Connor McDavid on a national stage. We hadn't seen Austin Matthews, who, by the way, is from America, which I had no idea.
Right. It's funny how that
he's
works.
playing in Canada. I always thought, well, yeah, he's Canadian.
No, he's not.
American.
No, he's not.
So you had new players, new stars, with a chance to play on this international stage, not only against each other, but on the same team, same line. And you've seen the way that it's worked out. It's good on good. And I think basketball is even getting it wrong with their idea of, well, we should do USA versus the world. No, you shouldn't.
No, you shouldn't.
You should pick 4 teams, just like hockey did.
Yeah.
France is going to have a hell of a team. We already know that.
Yeah.
Canada's going to have a hell of a team. And guess what? As I like to say to these other countries, Doncic doesn't get to play with Jokic or doesn't get to play with Antetokounmpo. Hey, go get your own team.
Put your own team together.
Okay? Put your team together and come out and play. And I think that's the only way this really works, Joe. I don't think this works with the world or Europe or whatever.
No. I think where you're absolutely right is that the NHL, the NBA has to do this too, but the NHL figured out if we're going to do this, if we're going to go best on best, we need to make money off of it. Everybody has to we have to get something out of this. The free promotion, all that kind of stuff isn't worth it. We need our own bottom line padded. Cool. They figured out a way to make it work. And to your point, there's a lot of politics, but the politics always would have been there. I mean, heck, we're even getting Finland, Sweden stuff. You said that clip, you know what I'm saying? No, I get the booze and all that stuff. Also add to it. I get that stuff, but there's always going to be a healthy competition between USA and Canada. Straight up,
there is.
There's
but
always
not
going to be that
heightened like this.
But
the timing of this.
But why does 1980 resonate?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because politics are always involved in these kind of things. But with the NBA, there's another issue with the NBA too, in that their own players also are in a very combative way of telling fans they're wrong all the time too. Like if I got Draymond Green on a fucking podcast one more time telling me about how like you're an idiot, you don't understand, or Kevin Durant going on social media being like, fine, well, we'll just get rid of the All-Star game. Yeah, let's get rid of the All-Star game. If something doesn't work anymore, stop doing it. Or if you're not going to accept it for what it is, then you need to move on. And that's what I've always said about All-Star games. To wrap the point about All-Star games, we got to experience an All-Star game here in Raleigh in 2011. It was the big Jeff Skinner show, right? And there was a big lead up and getting Gary Bettman to commit to it and all that kind of stuff. And talking with Tom Dunn in our conversation with Tom Dunn, and I know he said it elsewhere, but I know in our conversation with Tom Dunn, and he's not interested in bringing an All-Star game back. And I understand why. Because an outdoor series game, stadium series game, is way more compelling of an event than an All-Star game, which, for lack of a better term, is a convention. It's a fan convention. And the actual game itself isn't that good. It's just a glorified exhibition, and it ended up being like all whack. Were you there for that All-Star game?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So I enjoyed the All-Star weekend because it puts the city on a good level. Okay. It allows people to go check out the conventions and all the NHL Fan Fest stuff, and like downtown was transformed and all that stuff. Everything was great up until the actual game.
Yeah.
And that's the problem with most of the All-Star games now. Everything is great until the actual game. NBA All-Star weekend, it's the parties, it's this and that. And the players, unfortunately, are also tied to all sorts of promotional things that they have to do with their with their corporate champions. And then by the time you get to the actual game, you're freaking tired, man. You're tired. So you have to either accept it for what it is. It is a fan fest in your city that rotates. Or you don't accept that and you get rid of it altogether and you come up with a new format. And to your point, there's all sorts of ways you could cook up a different way of All-Star games.
Heck, I know it was kind of a joke and we're running out of college players in the NBA, but I would go for a college. All the Duke players, all the Kentucky players, all the whatever, get your team together. I'd be down for that.
And put a bunch of freaking money on the table. I'm serious. Put a bunch of freaking money on the table.
How does that help though?
Money's a motivator.
Can be. That's what they have an in-season tournament for now.
Money's a motivator.
Yeah.
To Adam Silver's credit, a lot of people scoffed at the in-season tournament. It's actually been kind of successful. Like the players care. So you just have to find ways to do that. And all the hand wringing about the NBA All-Star game and things like that, I get back to my original premise of this conversation. Well, do the people you're working with actually like your product? And I never get the sense from the TNT crew that they actually like the product. And the presentation really illustrates that they do not like the product because they did everything but basketball. And that's coming from somebody who watched it with no sound down in a bar. Like that's how it came through. I can only imagine how it actually was in the context of the game.
Housekeeping.
Brought to you by Inovana. They texted me, Joe, while we were in the middle of that conversation. They're on the way to clean the house. Fantastic. So big thanks to our friends at Inovana.
If you have mess inside your mansion or trash in your cabana, get it clean with Inovana.
Ladies and gentlemen, the OG Hat Vault is open. Nothing but the finest graphics on this program.
Some of your better work.
It's really, graphic design is my passion. All right, what is the OG Hat Vault? Very simple concept. We have a link in the podcast description summary and on the YouTube summary. Click that link. It takes you to a storefront from our friends at Base 6 here in downtown Raleigh. You have 3 kinds of hats to choose from. You have 2 Richardson 112 trucker hats. One has the white mesh. The other has a monochromatic vibe. All black, all red, all blue, all that kind of stuff. And then we got the dad hat, the relaxed fit dad hat. Big fan of that one. So click on that link. You have until February 25th.
One more week.
The vault is open now, but on February 25th, the vault closes, and this hat design will never come back.
Closes because we want you to have these hats for the ACC tournament in Charlotte. Because even though State won't be there, we will be there.
However, the hats won't be coming back. That's it.
Sure.
They're in there with Snow White and Cinderella.
Sure.
Maybe one day we'll get a deluxe edition of Aladdin. But they're going into the vault with what
was the problematic one?
It's
Steamboat Willie?
No. You're thinking a Song of the South.
Oh, okay.
We are never going to have a Song of the South hat. We're like, we'll make a ride out of it though, and make it really weird for kids. Like, hey, how come I've never seen this movie? Because you can't. That's why. So no, we're not going to have a Song of the South situation with these hats. Fingers crossed. So anyway, go click on that link. Again, you got until February 25th, and then the hats go away. That we'll have other hat designs coming down the line, but that hat in particular will go away.
That signals to me that it's almost tournament time. It's almost go time.
Well, we have another State Carolina game to play on Wednesday.
I feel it in my blood.
Oh yeah. Speaking of, I guess we have to have a meeting. Where's my meeting thing?
Let's have a meeting.
Are we going to do the hotel room? Are we doing the media hotel? Or are we getting an Airbnb?
We need to figure that out.
We probably should get the hotel room, especially if we got to be dragging equipment to and from. It just makes it easier to get on the shuttle and go. And we're going to get separate rooms this time.
That's fine.
All right, we'll get separate rooms.
Fine.
And I also have to bounce. I got to bounce on Friday night.
Yeah, I mean, why?
Because I got to get to
famous
DC.
last words, but like, why would?
Well,
we're post game duking.
Yeah, post game duke on Friday,
Yes.
likely. Although with Malik Brown's injury, you never know, Joe. You never know. I've
Yeah.
been told by Duke fans that's the key. That's the sauce.
Goes
Not Cooper Flag. No, Malik Brown's the sauce. Anyway, I'm being facetious. I say I got to bounce on Friday because I got to DC for a hockey tournament, the final hockey tournament of the year.
Well, that's weird. Last year you were in DC, you had to come home, and now this year you're here and you got to go to DC.
I know, it's dumb.
Time is a flat circle.
Yeah, time is a flat circle. It is kind of funny how that works out. So after dark Wednesday,
For sure.
we were going to be out somewhere.
But the weather is such,
We're not going to make you drive in that crap.
we're not going to risk the biscuit.
No, absolutely not. Not worth it. But there will be an after dark on Wednesday for
Okay.
State Carolina. I'm excited about that. I'm excited about that.
Why are you excited?
Well, because somebody's going to be mad.
I
Either
bet-
way,
I bet you
somebody's
they're
mad.
both mad.
You think so? Why do you think they're going to be both mad?
It happened. It happened last game. They were both mad.
That's a valid point. That is a valid point.
They're on stay mad mode, both of them.
What? They beat Carolina beat Syracuse over the weekend. What's the big deal?
Huge.
State beat Boston College.
Gigantic.
What's the big deal? They're coming in on a hot streak.
Coming in hot.
Yeah, man.
Like a Fajita.
Who's going to keep the winning vibes going? Anyway, we'll be there for the therapy, to say the least. If you're actually headed to that game, you can drop by the Breeze to fill up your gas tank and also get coffee for the evening, or I don't know, beer to
Very smart.
drink through these games.
I was going to say, you might need a little
something for that.
A little warmer.
So go to breeze2.com to find out more. You can download the app to save on gas. More importantly, you can get snacks, beer cave, coffee, all that fun stuff.
7:00 start. Let's go.
Oh yeah, that you know what? That's considerate. That's very considerate for us. We appreciate you on that.
Not that Miami FSU 9 peer.
Big thanks to our friends at Whitaker and Hamer. I will be at Shady's on Thursday watching that Four Nations final between USA and Canada.
Oh, maybe I'll come over and
Yeah, because the
see
kids
what you
got
going on.
kids
If
got
there's-
practice.
Assuming the world's not shut down. Aren't we supposed to get 20 inches of snow?
We'll see. We'll see about that. It's mid to late February snow. The thing ain't gonna last.
Okay.
And I don't know. Maybe I'm feeling emboldened. Like I got back last night. I'm like, oh, it's 31 degrees at RDU. Psh, where are my shorts?
Who predicted that? I need a jar like right there for
Where-
every time I get a prediction right.
Where
You
are
gotta
my
put a dollar
shorts?
in.
What's 31 degrees? What are you talking about? I'm coming from negative 15. Yeah. Where's my Roback? You know, where's my Roback?
Go back it up.
I need my Roback t-shirt to put it on. It's all good. Go to roback.com. You can use the promo code OG20 to save 15% off or 20% off your order. It is, I'm feeling like it's golf season real quick here. I mean, I know there's snow and all that kind of stuff, but like, it's like in the 50s today. Like, this is like peak golf weather, is it not? Are you going to go golf today?
Let me look. It doesn't feel that warm, buddy.
No, I want to say it's going to get into the upper 50s today.
44.
It's already 44.
I am
Oh no, okay. They changed.
No,
They
it's in
changed.
the
They
40s.
changed the weather. It's going to stay in the 40s.
believe it or not, I'm headed to Bowie's Creek today.
to do what?
I am going to see my wife's alma mater take on my son's school, ECU at Campbell today. So I'm going to see the Pirates. Arg.
Bowie's Creek Billy going to be in the house?
But if Billy's there, I can give him a roll humps.
Perfect.
Maybe I can get a shirt while I'm there today or something.
Is Bennett from Heaster?
Bennett probably.
Is he going to be in the house tonight?
It's cold. I'll text him. But
Text him.
It's cold.
See what's up.
Hey man, those seats were not cheap, so we ended up.
Really?
Oh my god, it was like $40.
No kidding.
I mean, they redid their baseball facility. Remember the
Gotta pay for it
Astros?
somehow.
The Astros played there one of the years. They have a really good baseball program. Campbell.
Gotcha. Big thanks to our friends at O2 Fitness, O2FitnessClubs.com. We know they are more than just a gym.
O2 Fitness, so much more than a gym.
I didn't quite have the Thrive verve that you had yesterday.
Uh,
I worked on it though. I worked on it. I worked on myself.
The verve that I need is I need to go sweat out some back-to-back Juicy Lucy's and Grain Belt beers and fries and all that kind of stuff. Oh, and cheese curds.
I was gonna say you got to get the curds, man.
Yeah, man. I want cheese
Even though
curds.
you weren't in Wisconsin, but
Let's put it this way. I powered through on the dairy. Let's put it that way. I powered through. And I'm going to have to power through and work this out and sweat it out. O2 Fitness Clubs. Now, working out, you might not be getting the results you want. A lot of that might have to do with the fact that your testosterone levels might not be where they need to be when you get your 40s. This is a very well-known fact. Guys in their 40s, that stuff, it slows down. But there are ways to combat that. And O2 Fitness Clubs, O2FitnessClubs.com, they've partnered with Thrive locally to help you with issues like testosterone levels or with weight loss with all the treatments that are available to you. And they are now a partner with Thrive. You can go to livethrive.co to find out more. And once again, O2 Fitness telling you and proving to you they are more than a gym. So go check them out at O2FitnessClubs.com or go to livethrive.co. So did the basketball world end over the weekend while I was gone with the Auburn-Alabama game?
potentially.
I mean, shouts to Auburn getting it done. Your guy, Nate Oates, losing the big game there.
He
The big
did.
rivalry.
Didn't you say Carolina was unbeaten in those 1-2 games?
Yes. In the four, if I looked at the stats correctly, in the 4 times an interconference 1-2 game that has happened,
Mhm.
it's happened twice against Duke. It happened once against Virginia and once against Georgia Tech. Carolina won all of them.
Okay.
So what does that mean about Nate Oates?
I
Can he
mean,
not win the big one?
clearly you can't be.
Or is this just a byproduct of the true meat grinder that is the SEC?
Yeah.
So I'm catching up on stuff. I know you're catching up on stuff. And I'm seeing this piece from Pat 40 where they just slobbed all over the SEC. And this quote really got you going. This is from the Pat 40 piece. To sum up this murderous league, let's go to Tennessee coach Rick Barnes, who has worked in the Big East, the ACC, the Big 12 as well. Quote, "It's the best league in the country, maybe ever. I mean, it's ridiculous, to be honest with you." This is backing what Jay Billis told Paul Feinbaum last week, by the way. And 40 continues, how we arrived at this point where the league that for decades consisted of Kentucky and apathy is a matter of commitment and financial wherewithal. They decided to care. I do agree with that statement. I do agree with that statement. And he highlights the fact that you go back to 2013 when only 3 men's teams from the conference made the NCAA tournament. The league had just won 7 straight football national championships, which gave everyone an invitation to not care about the plight of hoops. But they began digging out shortly thereafter. They have the money to do it. So therefore, when you've got the money and the wherewithal, well, you can do these types of things. But let's get back to that central question, the fact that Rick Barnes, who's been around the block, has been caught up in the hyperbole to say that this might be the best thing ever.
It is impressive that they could potentially put 12 of their 16 teams into the NCAA tournament.
Of course.
There's no doubt about that.
Of course.
And the commitment that they've made is also, the financial commitment that they've made is also impressive. That includes the players that they have paid for and the coaches that they've paid for. There's no doubt about that, right? But the way that college basketball has changed, where it is a year-to-year proposition, it is utterly ridiculous to think that in 2025, any conference or any team could be the quote-unquote best ever by comparison to the teams and programs that had guys and teams that were together for 2, 3, 4 years.
Yeah.
Coaches that were there for 15, 20, 25, 30 years. Like, that's preposterous. And if Nate Oates, who was just trying to pimp the SEC, said that, I would be like, well, yeah.
That's
Go
what
ahead,
I
man.
expect that out of a coach.
Like, go ahead. Like,
Right.
I get it. But for Rick Barnes, who not only worked at Clemson and banged his head up against the wall against Dean Smith and Mike Krzyzewski once upon a time, but worked at Providence. He actually followed Rick Pitino at Providence.
Right.
I will remind you, as someone who grew up in New Jersey, that in 1985, the 3 of the 4 teams in the Final Four were from the Big East. And that very well easily could have been 3 of the 4 teams from the ACC in that Final Four, if you go back and look at those Final 8 matchups. The very next year, the ACC, when it was an 8-team league, had 6 teams in the NCAA tournament. So I get it. You're caught up in the moment. You're caught up in whatever you're trying to promote. But the truth of the matter is, you can't say with a straight face, as good as the SEC is this year, you can't sit here and say it's the best ever. No, you might not even have the national champion, just so you know.
I mean,
You might not.
given how the SEC is going, though, they might just break off and do their own thing so they can make sure they can finally get an SEC champion.
Yeah,
that is in Kentucky, right? In the past. Yeah, I struggle with otherwise smart people who have been around the block and can contextualize getting caught up in what I refer to as social media brain rot, where you feel like you have to say things to get people to like truly like listen and listen in the sense of like, if I don't say this is the best thing ever or the worst thing ever, it's just not going to register.
No, there's no middle.
There's just no
Yeah,
middle.
I mean, Florida's coach is 39 years old, Joe. Like, if he said it, I'd be like, yeah, man, cool, I get it.
Yeah,
you
like,
don't know
to your
any
point,
better.
like if Nate Oates says it, that's fine. Heck,
Yeah.
man, Bruce Pearl could say it, man. Bruce Pearl could say it.
Because he's worked at a bunch of SEC stops.
Right.
Yeah.
He could say that. Like,
Sure.
you know, in all the years that I've been in the SEC, it's never been stronger. And I would put it up there with anybody else, right? But to your point, and one that I agree with, when you have not brought it home, when the SEC has also developed a reputation of you can have all these great teams, but a lot of them are out by the Sweet 16. How do you square
And
that?
that is because they're usually super athletic but can't shoot.
Right. How do you square that? Like, honestly, how do you square that? It's the same thing. It's the opposite of the ACC in that the ACC could be down. They can only get 3 teams in the ACC in the NCAA tournament. And then like all 3 of them get to the Sweet 16. Well, how do you square that?
See, now by SEC logic, if Duke wins the championship this year, well, then the ACC is the best conference. Because all those years in
Yeah.
football, when Alabama won the championship, well, we're the best league because we have Alabama.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I get the again, the point of having 12 and 16 is impressive.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, it's kind of like the old ACC Big Ten challenge. Like, does it really matter if the 11th place ACC team beats the 11th place Big Ten team?
it does not.
Does it?
It does not.
I mean, come on.
That nobody's out here doing.
You're
ACC
having an
pride.
amazing season. You really are. As
Yeah.
a league, collectively as a league, you're having an amazing
An
season.
amazing regular season.
Yeah, but that also doesn't mean you're the quote unquote best of all time.
Now, it's funny you bring up Duke. I watched a little bit of the Duke Virginia game at the airport last night. Every time we talk about the ACC, it's brought to you by our friends at Keller Williams Commercial, the Donnelly team, Triangle Commercial, trianglencommercial.com, 919-616-8681. I actually told Jacob's coach Shane, because he's a young guy. He's got all this piss and vinegar. He wants to do all the things. And we went to a giant hockey store in Minneapolis because, of course, my kid needed new gloves.
Something, yeah.
Of course. Oh, my gloves don't fit anymore. And they got holes in them. I'm like, oh, and we just happened to be at the Bauer Experience in Minneapolis, right? Corporate champions, I appreciate you. I cannot buy these hockey gloves without you. So I appreciate the Donnelly team for helping fund things like new red gloves from Bauer. So they've got an actual mini rink inside the Bauer Hockey Experience. And Shane's like, man, I would make a killing if I had a spot like this in Raleigh. And I'm like, this is a true story. I said, oh, well,
I can help you with that.
I know some people who can find you a really good warehouse space that you can convert into a rink.
Yes.
Just saying.
919-616-8681. Give Julie and Brian a call.
So we appreciate them for being a corporate champion.
I was watching the game too, and I got depressed.
You got depressed?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to watch my language just a little bit, but I'm also going to help myself just by saying I dislike Virginia.
I know.
I always have.
I know.
And when people think, oh, you hate Carolina, no, I really don't.
No.
It's Duke and it's Virginia. Those are the two that I just really,
They rankle you.
the elitism is just too much for me.
Sure.
Okay. Particularly Virginia with their public Ivy nonsense. So I enjoyed rooting against Tony Bennett in Virginia, but last night I felt nothing.
It's a sad state of
and
affairs.
I'm sitting here going, they're getting waxed by Duke.
Yeah.
And I should find pleasure in this. I should be taking joy in this. My guy Embrace the Pace was even tweeting about, I have no idea what we're doing defensively. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, oh, this is what? No, not even a tingle.
Yeah.
No, not even so much as a twitch.
It's not doing it for you anymore.
As watching Virginia get bounced and waxed by Duke. The only thing that would give me greater pleasure if they had to play Duke twice this year, since Tony Bennett had the easiest conference schedule of all time every year as well.
Yeah.
But that's here for another day. Yeah, I felt sad. In fact, on this program yesterday, I said, I will be taking Duke tonight, -13, for the very specific reason, as long as they're not honoring Tony Bennett tonight or bringing him back, which they did for one of the games and they won it.
Yeah. Well, it was a very winnable game. That's
then they won't show up.
Yeah.
And fair enough, in the first half, it was like, oh. And they even had like the graphic, like ESPN, like, I don't know why ESPN's trying to be nice to Virginia. It was like, that's the most points Virginia's given up in a half this year. It's like, guys, Virginia blows.
They suck.
Okay, like just stop acting like, you know, whatever the defense is called is still coming home for them.
This ties into some of the pushback that we've received on social media. So
Okay.
I'll put stuff on Reels, I'll put stuff on TikTok, and there was one
123 in Ken Palm defense. Come on, guys, go away.
I had sent one off to Dane to put together about the ACC where it currently is, and like you got Duke and you got everybody else, and how the ACC end up here. And we talked about this with the SEC. I mean, money and want to level. Okay, and some of the pushback was from people saying, okay, so the ACC's having a one bad year. Okay, like let's look at I'm like, it's not one, but that's the thing. Well, it's twofold. It's not just one bad year.
Right.
It is the beginning of a trend that if you're plugged in, you can see where it's going if they don't turn it around, if they don't make some changes, if they don't actually have the want to factor. Like you said last week, ACC Commissioner Jim Phillips saying, hey, man, when we get this house settlement stuff and we've got this salary floor, like essentially a salary floor.
Yeah.
Okay. They recognize it. So we're not just being hyperbolic here. We're not trying to embellish. I'm not doing the social media brain rot. I think what you and I are trying to do is simply say, like, fire up the red flags. Like, guys, there are some real systematic issues in this league right now. A lot of them are related to money and the decisions made to who you hire as coach, along with basically a brain drain of coaches have been doing it for a long time, a very particular way in a different era of college basketball. And now they're in these weird transitioning periods. And these schools have to ask themselves, are you about that life? The SEC decided they were about that life.
And look at the results.
So this is not a complicated conversation. And it's not that we're bagging on the ACC. We're more like sounding the alarm, like, guys, something's got to change. Let's see if it actually happens. And I don't need Shrewsbury. I didn't realize Shrewsbury went on a rant over the weekend, like, you haters. I'm like, guys, this that's silly talk to me right now. This is not you, the individual. This is a collective dread that's happening in the ACC, which gets back to your thing about Duke. I mean, the ACC might get 4 teams in the NCAA tournament. The only actual title contender, maybe, The only actual title contender is Duke.
Yeah.
And if they bring it home, how is it going to be?
Yeah,
how is it going to be
title.
portrayed?
Title. Yeah. I mean, I do think Clemson has the potential to make the Final Four.
I can see that.
I mean, they made the Final 8 last year.
Yeah. And specifically to Duke, the way they've responded since the Clemson loss has been impressive. You ask these things that are you a contender? Well, contenders respond the way that Duke has responded.
Duke does to Stanford on Saturday what Duke did to Stanford on Saturday.
Yes.
That was murder ball.
That's what you're supposed
That's
to do.
monster ball.
What you go up to Virginia and you say, guys, you suck.
Yeah.
And we're going to put the hammer down on you. Like, we're not going to play around. And I know I was being somewhat silly about the Malik Brown injury, but
I just lean into it because at this point, people think you don't know who he is.
I know. People are like, oh, you don't understand. Like, no, I understand what he's doing, but I don't think he's the difference between them winning a championship and not. It's just that simple.
I agree with you.
It's just that simple.
They can win the championship without Malik Brown.
Yes. It's it's four guys that really need to be plugged in, and that is obviously Cooper Flagg doing what he's been doing. It's Tyrese Proctor being that guy who can get you buckets.
Just say props to Proctor. He's really put this thing together.
He
lately.
has.
He's been very consistent lately.
Con Knipple obviously giving you those points, and of course Malwatch being the X factor.
Points last night.
He has, and Malwatch being, of course, the X factor in all of this. One other note about I know you guys talked about you and Hayes. And thanks to Hayes for filling in yesterday. I saw the amount of time the podcast was yesterday. And I knew, without even knowing, I knew Hayes had actually filled in. Because I said, there's only one other man who can make a podcast go for about an hour and 45 minutes. If it's not me, it's Hayes.
I was listening yesterday and I thought to myself, sometimes I forget that Hayes has that gift that you and Adam have, that he can
just keep talking. He can just keep on talking.
He's actually better off without me.
No,
because he can just yammer.
No, well, that's the problem.
That's the same thing. Adam could just yammer.
But there's a difference between a Hayes yammer and a Gold yammer. Gold goes into like an old man yells at cloud, like get off my lawn type of yammer, right? Hayes, sometimes you're going, where's this going exactly?
Yeah, he likes to do that, particularly during the sponsorships, and I'm like,
yeah, like where is this going? Okay, got it. That's a signature Hayes thing. But I know you guys talked about the NCAA tournament expansion, but it looks like we're getting some more movement on, speaking of the SEC and how they're running the show. And obviously we have to cup their balls when we talk about them all the time. This is from Ross Tellinger. Sources, SEC Big Ten building momentum to further expand college football playoff to 14 or 16. If you've been reading anything about this particular story, we know this has been on the table from the jump. They've always wanted this, and also they were given the right to do so. Okay, the SEC and the Big Ten are the ones without any further consensus can do what they want. That's what they agreed to. So this is from the Dellinger piece. Within the SEC and the Big Ten, momentum is building to further expand the playoff to 14 or 16 teams, assigning multiple automatic qualifiers per league, as many as 4 each for themselves, and finalizing a schedule arrangement together that may fetch millions in additional TV revenue from TV partners, sources told Yahoo. The playoff format change would clear the way for the SEC administrators to finally make the long-discussed move to play 9 regular season conference games, and would trigger perhaps all 4 power leagues to overhaul their conference championship weekend. These ideas and concepts previously reported by Yahoo Sports as possibilities are now serious agenda items within the highest governing bodies of the SEC, Big Ten, Big 12, and the ACC, according to officials from each of those leagues. The 11 members of the CFP Management Committee, the 10 FBS conference commissioners, and Notre Dame were contacted for the story, many of them confirming the existence of these potential ideas, but declining specific comment on the matter. So, decisions coming in the next couple of weeks. We're long story short, we're going to get what the SEC and the Big Ten want. Straight up. But my curiosity is,
I'm here for 14, by the way. I like a bye.
But do you like the automatic qualifiers?
No, but
4.
I don't see a way around it.
What is it? 4, 4, 2, 2, or 1, or whatever it is, right?
Yeah. Second one for the ACC is nice. I mean, all things considered, but
I guess this would be my question. I don't know the answer to it. What if everybody just said no? I mean, I get the SEC and the Big Ten are going to be like, all right, we're going to do this, and then the ACC and the Big 12 and the Group of 5 said, no, this only benefits you. You are doing things that absolutely make sure that you get more money.
You would just create your own 1AA then.
Okay,
because those two would break off, do their own thing. They would probably never play you anymore either.
Do you think that people would accept that though? Like, would fans accept it? Would because ratings have been going up because of the college football playoff and the interest in general, like the actual inclusion of everybody, very similar to the NCAA and why you want this expansion, all that kind of stuff. If it was just the SEC and the Big Ten, if we basically got a minor NFL where you had the AFC and the NFC, would people accept it?
Yeah, this is what they would do. They would play 9 conference games. They would play 1 game against each other. That gets you to 10.
Yeah.
They would all play a 1 AA team. That's 11.
Yeah.
And then you take care of it all with the playoff by making it a however many team playoff you want. So you have extra revenue.
Mm.
That's it.
Yeah.
And you don't care about anything else.
Yeah.
Because as they're saying in this report, if you're getting extra money just for your non-conference games, that's another unfound tap of money that they haven't gotten into yet. So, I mean, think about the SEC. You know, in the pandemic, they didn't play their traditional Clemson, South Carolina, Florida State, Kentucky, Louisville. Like, if any of those teams didn't play anymore, like people, it's kind of like Texas and Texas A&M. Like, the world would still go on. I know they're back together now, but it's not like people would riot.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, just on this weekend, the UNC women and the NC State women played, and finally people were like, wait, oh, they're only playing once.
And
wait, what happened?
they watched it, and
It was a good game.
It was a good game. And that was that.
Entertaining game.
Yeah. That was that.
But it's not like anyone stormed the gates in Charlotte to make sure that there's a rematch.
Yeah. If that's going to be the case, let's just go ahead and get to the big, mega, like the mega football.
But
thing.
if you have mega and the other ones aren't included, I'm okay. I've told you forever. I think Group of 5 should have their own tournament.
Well, what I'm saying is, if this is headed,
but they don't want to do it.
If we are headed towards the football does their own thing, allowing for basketball to go back to be regional,
that would be nice.
I'm okay with it.
That would be nice.
If all we're doing is creating these mega conferences so that you end up having these mismatched things like the ACC, where you've got Cal and Stanford and all this other stuff coming to play basketball or whatever it is, I don't know if I don't want that. You would improve your college product if you actually went in that direction, but we'll see, because nobody wants to say no to money. That's kind of where we're at. You know what got me through those Minnesota temperatures? Home field. Being serious.
I know.
The move was Uniqlo Heat Tech long sleeve shirt, undershirt.
Layer one.
Then the fleece lined hoodie from Home Field.
Okay.
And then depending on how I had the little neck gaiter too, because I had to, cover up my extremities here. And then I had my old Gap pea coat from college.
Okay.
That thing kept me warm. But I also had a North Face that I would put underneath. Like on the negative 15 degree day, I double jacketed. But
triple, probably.
No, actually, I'm saying like the long sleeve undergarment, the fleece lined hoodie, and the pea coat with a knit cap. I was set, man. That fleece lined hoodie did work. Kept me warm this weekend.
Perfect.
Kept me warm. Can keep you warm for the rest of the winter. So head on over to homefieldapparel.com. Use that promo code OG24 to save 15% off your order. One of the places that everybody went outside and skated, they had like a bunch of homes. It was in a neighborhood with a park, and all the homes surrounding this lake were at least $3 million. I feel like
3?
At least $3 million. I feel like I should have called Hometown Realty. Like, hey, can you help me out here?
Wow.
Buy, sell, calculate here for some of these little winter home, so the kids could just skate out here. But yeah, man, there's some pretty ridiculous homes. Just like there's a lot of ridiculous homes that are going up in the Triangle. A lot of it's new construction. A lot of those builders have incentives. Well, how do you work those? Easy. Contact our friends at Hometown Realty, myhtr.com. I know it was negative 15 degrees. You know what? I still would have had a negative 15 degree weather. 2 roosters. I would have ice cream in that situation. I would have powered through. I know we just had Valentine's Day. Shout out to the people who pointed out that they had gotten 2 roosters as a part of Valentine's Day. Smart choice.
Very smart.
Good stuff. The breakfast style ice cream continues this month.
It's delicious. Make sure you get over there before the end of February. I actually got Jackson the Oreo cake for his birthday.
Oh, nice.
So good.
That's quality stuff.
So good.
And speaking of Valentine's, shout out to the people who posted their gains over the weekend. Like, hey, went to the butcher's market, put the meal together. Real easy.
I posted the beef Wellington yesterday.
That beef Wellington.
That guy needs to
amazing.
work for Butcher's Market.
My goodness.
I sent it to Kenneth. I said, you need to hire this guy.
That stuff looked good. So check out thebutchersmarkets.com. And, it doesn't have to be Valentine's Day. If you just want to surprise your loved one with a really nice meal, well, easiest place to do it is our friends at The Butcher's Market. Lightning Round brought to you by Sam Jones. Check them out in downtown Raleigh. I'm talking about going out and having a good meal and things like that. Sam Jones, always money. Lunch meeting, Sam Jones.
Great space. I got to tell you, too, I get a lot of texts from them.
Okay.
Because when they have that order by phone system, and there's a lot of discounts. Like I just got a text this morning for a discount.
Nice.
So great stuff, man. Head over there. Check them out. Sam Jones right there on Lenore.
All right, this is a slightly mini NFL lightning round, if you will, because there's some, off-season things that are going on. Should Andy Dalton come back to be the backup for Bryce Young?
Why
next
not?
year? Yeah, that was my thought too. I was reading this from Mike Kay over at the Charlotte Observer.
Where's he going?
Should Panthers bring back Andy Dalton, making sense of the backup spot behind Bryce Young? I mean, I think people understand the dynamic. Clearly, the coaching staff trusts Andy Dalton to go in there when needed. I mean, we saw that in how they used him and kept with him while Bryce Young was working through it. And he understands his role. I don't know. I mean, he might be the new modern day Derek Anderson.
I was going to say the kid from Oregon State who would always break glass, come in, win some games, and get out.
But yeah, Dalton's a pending free agent, and Dalton, as Kay points out, Dalton's future is somewhat open-ended despite his outspoken desire to stick around. So I guess it kind of depends on what his contract would look like and whatnot. When Kay was putting together the arguments for and against, the argument against keeping Dalton, the Panthers are projected to have roughly $20 million in salary cap space this offseason. The team can create more cap space by making a collection of roster moves, but even then, Carolina will still be around the middle of the league in terms of spending capability. So every deal matters. If the Panthers pay Dalton a suitable salary, perhaps comparable to his 2024 mark of $4 million, they'll take away potential money from another position of need. I still think that a capable backup quarterback is a position of need for this Panthers squad.
Yeah, you can't just... Bryce Young's not at a point yet.
Not yet.
You just go and sit here and pull a Tom Brady and be like, oh yeah, we'll just take whatever Tom, Dick, and Harry we can pull up off the street. And
the trajectory of Bryce Young is good.
Yeah.
You can see it. But to your point, let's see how we bounce back in this upcoming season. Meanwhile, speaking of quarterbacks, maybe they get rid of Andy Dalton and they bring Aaron Rodgers in as a backup quarterback in Carolina. That would get the people going.
I can't wait to see where he lands. Gosh.
So I was.
Is he really going to play, or is he? I guess it's closing time, right? Like he gets that.
So I was reading Mark Mask at the Washington Post, and he had a story: five or more potential landing spots for Aaron Rodgers. Okay,
there are not 5 spots that would work for Aaron. There are absolutely not. There might not even be one, to be perfectly honest with you.
First one that comes up is the Tennessee Titans, in which you're still dealing with the Will Levis experience, right? And
how does that help the Tennessee Titans? They're not going to win the Super Bowl. They're not going to win with him.
No. Meanwhile,
I don't even think there's one scenario that works for Aaron. I'm being serious.
The Cleveland Browns.
Nope.
The Raiders would make sense. And then the Steelers continue to pop up.
Pete Carroll?
Yeah.
Now, okay. Not the Raiders, because what are you trying to do? At some point, you just have to pick a young quarterback, and let him play.
Okay.
The Steelers, again, my same premise as Russ. If there's one person who can handle Aaron Rodgers, and if there's one team that could potentially benefit from a quarterback like that, but he'd have to learn how to minimize his mistakes and his gambling and all his other stuff. And I don't see it happening. The true gift of Aaron Rodgers was his connection with his receivers, Devontae Adams in particular. They even brought him in last year, and he didn't do any good. So,
well, that's because that gets to the other part of this.
He just has nothing left in the tank.
He has nothing.
If you're going to win the
tank.
Super Bowl, you're not going to win it with Aaron Rodgers.
He has nothing.
And if you're rebuilding, he doesn't help you rebuild because he's a poison in the locker room.
So this is from Mike Tanier, who has a Substack called Deep what is it? What does he call it? What does he call it? He calls it the Too Deep Zone. That's what he calls his newsletter, Too Deep Zone. And I'm just going to read this blurb because I think that's the part that people seem to be refusing to admit. He's not good.
No,
He's not good.
no.
Rodgers' DVOA, again, that's defensive. Was it defensive value over adjustment or whatever? Basically, it's like NFL WAR.
Yeah.
You're like your wins above replacement, right? He was negative 5.4%. He ranked below Aiden O'Connell, Mac Jones, and Justin Fields in passing only last year in DVOA. Although he was ahead of Joe Flacco and Cooper Rush. He ranked 24th in adjusted net yards per attempt between Flacco and Geno Smith. He ranked 31st in QBR with O'Connell 30th and Daniel Jones 32nd. So, and to your point, he did this with guys that he's supposed to have a connection with, and he didn't. So I'm really, what I would say about Aaron Rodgers is, while we're having this conversation and everybody's have the intrigue of like, what's he going to do? What's going to happen? When are we going to have the honest conversation of how good is he at this point? Not everybody is Tom Brady.
Maybe if he didn't tear his Achilles, maybe.
Maybe.
But he did.
But even then, you could say that he was on the decline. Even then, you could say that. All right, we also have the Bengals, and I guess Joe Burrow might be getting his way. Joe Burrow has been very active and vocal about how I expect my guys to be paid if we're going to be about this. Of course, that goes in opposition of how the Bengals have always operated as a franchise.
Bengals have always been the cheapest team in all of professional. Well, the Clippers, but close.
I mean, if you want
in
to
the
keep
NFL,
this,
for sure, the Bengals have been the cheapest team in NFL history.
if you want to keep this specifically to the NFL, they are the cheapest organization in how they structure their contracts. They believe deeply in how they go about their contracts, meaning we're going to give you the signing bonus and that's the end of it.
Right.
We're not going to do this deferred money. We're not going to spread it out over guarantees and all that kind of stuff. You get your money up front. That's the end of it. Moving on. And some people have a problem with that. Jeremy Fowler is from ProFootballTalk.com. Jeremy Fowler of ESPN reports that the Bengals will attempt to sign 3 key players for long-term deals: Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Trey Hendrickson. Trying to do those, trying and doing are two different things. Of course, last year they tried to sign Chase. While the dollars made sense, the structure did not. And again, that's what this is about. It's about the structure. And the Bengals do not play that structure game the way that these wide receivers want.
I would not re-sign T. Higgins, as we've learned from Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
You can move on from certain players.
You can.
Now, I would do my best to sign Chase.
Yeah.
Because him and Burrow do have a extra connection. But I would let Higgins go.
Cam Ward, ESPN headline. Cam Ward on NFL teams that
hockey.
may...
Well, I thought we were in an NFL speed round.
No. Cam Ward on NFL teams that may not draft him. I'll remember.
Nice.
Okay.
Well, like you name your 6 dogs for the quarterbacks who were taken in front of you or whatever Brady did.
Yeah, this is from the ESPN story. Cam Ward was showered with online criticism suggesting that he quit on the Hurricanes after he didn't play in the second half of the Pop-Tarts Bowl.
Oh, come on.
There
can't be anyone with half of a brain criticizing him for that game.
The quarterback, who could be the first player selected in the draft, said the decision not to play in the second half of that bowl game was predetermined by him and the coaching staff. He goes on to talk about these kind of things. And, quote, "You're either going to draft me or you're not. If you don't draft me, that's your fault. You've got to remember you're the same team that's got to play me for the rest of my career, and I'll remember that."
Yeah.
Love the piss and vinegar in that one. I still don't think Cam Ward he's a streaky quarterback. I don't think this is a particularly strong quarterback class, which includes Shedeur Sanders, but that's just kind of the nature of the league right now, and beggars cannot be choosers.
There are many topics for lightning rounds today on OG.
So I guess you and Hayes did not get to this topic, but Hayes figured this was genetically engineered to bother you. But there's been a development. There's been an update. So apparently Texas A&M had a media policy that the players would not be available following a loss. However, in the wake, this is from Awful Announcing, in the wake of criticism, Texas A&M removed players will not be available following a loss from their baseball media policy on the site. So I guess they tried to get one over on people, and then people noticed, and they said, oh, crap, we should probably not do that.
I mean, curse or don't, man. Do what you got to do.
Right.
We're going to get there at some point, right? Like, if you don't want to make your players available, just don't make them available. If you don't want to make them available after a loss, cool.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. I think Texas A&M was there this year. I'm pretty sure they were.
Yeah.
And there's interest. I'm not denying that. But do we really think like the media masses are descending upon College Station in order to get the reaction after a win or a loss.
I mean, I get that it's different in places like College Station for things like baseball that are a little bit different than here. But here's what I would ask.
Sure, but
here's what I would ask. Here's what I'd ask. And this is across all sports and all coaches. Oftentimes coaches talk about dealing with adversity, dealing with things that are unpleasant, powering through. How do you handle that in terms of your character and stuff like that? All the buzzwords talk about how you become a real man when you're in college, right? I'm here to shape men.
Yeah, they lost to Tennessee in the championship round.
Okay, fine, whatever. How you handle losing is part of that. And I'm really at a loss as we've gotten to a point where people are so afraid to deal with a little bit of friction after a loss.
Ooh, now you sound like Rick Pitino talking to his Chargers.
Right? What did I miss with Rick
Getting
Pitino?
the people going.
What did I miss with Rick Pitino?
Vice has been following Rick Pitino this year.
Oh, have they?
Yes.
I have not seen this.
The videos have been flooded on the socials.
Okay.
Of how he talks to his players. Just as you would imagine Rick Pitino would talk to his players, even in 2025.
Okay.
Even after, to quote Kevin Keats, Coach P has changed, but he's still Coach P. I was like, sounds about right.
And the players it's clearly working out for him this year. It's working for him this year. But also, by the way, shall we go check back in with our friend at UCLA and
Nick?
how they
bounced. They've bounced.
They've bounced back. I mean,
give him credit now.
He MF'd them and
publicly. Now, Rick, knowing there is a camera, is doing something similar.
I get it. So I think somewhere along the lines, it's like we've forgotten. Sometimes you need to be MF'd.
Yeah.
Okay. You need it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe this is hitting a little close to home because I got a 16-year-old that is in the process from me getting the riot act on some things. And it's like, you need to be told this ain't it.
Yeah.
You need to be told that and trust that the kid will react to it in a positive way rather than taking away the friction. Because again, there's a larger issue here, not to get too deep in the weeds, but it's like, not everything has to come so easily, man.
Failing is good sometimes.
Sometimes it's okay. It's okay. So I got no problems with coaches doing this kind of stuff. And then Texas A&M trying to take that off the table. It's like, what are you guys trying to do here? Like, what do you think you're really accomplishing with that? Speaking of basketball coaches.
We've got a lot to get to. It's a lightning round.
Here's another one that's genetically engineered to trigger Joe Giglio. From Michigan State men's basketball, second to none. What did Izzo do last week? What did I miss? They eclipsed some milestone that I wasn't aware of. I'm not tied into the Izzo lore. I'll be honest.
Izzo became the winningest coach in Big Ten history. He surpassed Bob Knight.
Cool. All right. Here's the video.
Coach Izzo. Tommy. Hey, Tom.
Okay, right off the bat, we're dealing with the Tom Rinaldi piano. We gotta get sappy.
You haven't even started yet.
The Tom Rinaldi piano is killing me already. All right, let's continue.
Coach Izzo.
Hi, Tom.
Hey, Chief.
Tom.
Hey, Tom.
Coach, hello, friend.
Congratulations.
Oh, man, we had a Mike Krzyzewski backed up by our guy, Jim Nantz. Okay. Hello, friends.
Coach Izzo.
Hi, Coach Izzo. Coach Katie, just wanted to congratulate you on a great, great honor.
All the D'Antonios, we'd like to congratulate you on number 354.
You are a legend.
By the way, Jim Nantz is on his own personal home green in this video.
Yes, Pebble Beach.
He has his own chipping area at his house.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
No, you and I both always looked up to Coach Knight. And so it's amazing that you are now surpassing him as the
winningest Big Ten coach of all time. Man, boy, you are my hero.
Okay. Can we get to the point? This goes on for 4 fucking minutes.
That was our guy, Roy.
I know. This goes on for 4 minutes. I was waiting to finally see. Does he continue?
You have
consistent success.
What are we? Okay. Ryan. Okay.
Record. You really have represented Michigan State in the best possible manner on a national scene.
Your credit.
All right, this is going to be the Barnes, Weber.
So happy for you.
Congratulations.
Yeah, Jinky, don't care. All right. We got Roy again? Was that it for Roy?
Oh, there's my favorite part.
Which part? Oh, or
No,
the Izzo.
no.
Or the graphic.
Graphic. Second
to none. Okay, yeah. Most conference wins in Big Ten history. Second to none. Okay, good for him. But I did find it ironic.
Second to none.
I did find it, well,
In your little neighborhood, potentially.
yeah.
You know,
Putting
the other one, though.
putting Mike Krzyzewski and Roy Williams in there a little bit like, hey, Tom, man, congratulations on your Big Ten records. But do you want to talk about March against us?
You're the best.
Until you play us. And then I think not so much. Not so much on that one. Anyway, that is your lightning round.
So, Mick.
Making you ride for Duke and Carolina, huh?
Don't do it.
Made it happen.
And Auburn and Alabama made me do it this week, too.
We ride with Mosquito Authority and Pest Authority. Check them out. Bugsbite.com. I know we got snow on the way, but we've already had our fall spring. The temperatures are going to be warmer before you know it. So start thinking about your mosquito treatments now. And also with Bugs Bite, you can get things like a moisture barrier for your house. I know that's something that I need. That's something that's on my list of things to do this summer. So check it out, bugsbite.com. Speaking of your home, you can save a lot of money on your home and auto insurance with our friend Matt Davis over at State Farm. Check them out online at insuregarner.com or theoginsurance.com. Call directly at 919-779-8277. I might need to call them up to save some more money on home and auto so I can continue to fund hockey trips.
I mean, best thing to do is call and have a conversation.
That's all you got to do.
919-779-8277.
Yeah, I'm sitting here talking about all the ridiculous things that I ate and all the dairy and making some better choices. Well, Happy and Hell can help me with those better choices.
And you can save money.
Yes.
Let's take a break. Let's take a hockey break. Brought to you by Happy and Hell.
How does one save money, Joe?
Best thing to do, use our promo code. So you download the Happy and Hail app. That's Happy plus Hail. Go to your app store, download it. Now, you're going to make your order. You're going to go pick it up. And before you do that, you're going to pay for it. And you're going to use our promo code OG25. You're going to save 25% on that initial order. And just for downloading the app, get a free smoothie. And if it's within a month of your birthday, you get a free bowl.
The hockey break is the amusing scene that unfolded at the Minneapolis airport yesterday when Jackson Blake was on our flight.
Okay. Kane's rookie star.
I could not identify Jackson Blake out of a lineup out of his hockey gear because he's 20 years old. He looks like any other hockey kid.
And we haven't been exposed to him that much.
But the kids recognize Jackson Blake.
The youth.
With a quickness.
Mm-hmm.
So they went up like, hey, they got the picture. He's really, really cool about taking pictures with the kids and all that kind of stuff. It helps that like they had the Junior Canes gear on. So like easily identifiable, but he was super, super chill. And I walked him like, hey man, appreciate you, taking a picture with the kids and everything else. And I was like, I thought you guys were still on break. Why are you headed back? He goes, got practice tomorrow. I was like, oh, so I guess Rod's break is over. And he just kind of chuckled. He's like, no, I get it. I mean, Rod loves his practice. Got to be prepared.
Poor Slavin.
God, he's going to get his
playing 9 million minutes for Team USA and going to come back. And
poor Slavin. Rod is going to be absolutely incensed by the minutes that have been played by guys like Slavin, Mikko, Aho, obviously Seth Jarvis. So that is something that I'm sure will be a discussion point when everybody's back. Hot and cold. I think you all know what my cold is thanks to our friends at 1-800-Plumber. It is in the name, 1-800-Plumber and Air. We're talking upfront pricing, 24/7 support. You got an issue, call them up. They're going to help you out. And again, upfront pricing is key when it comes to things like this because we've all been in situations where you think you're getting some sort of estimate and next thing you know, you're getting hit with all sorts of extra stuff that you didn't think you were signing up for. Not the case with 1-800-Plumber and Air. So my cold, Joe? Yeah. Damn it, that Porta-John in Minneapolis, that was cold. Okay? That was cold. I could have used an HVAC in that thing. Just saying. I needed, you know what I needed? World War II heat.
Yes.
Is what
did you find one or no?
I did, actually.
There was bowling alley somewhere that would have it.
No, it was actually this rink that we played in St. Paul, the Ken Yeckel Arena. It was named after some, Mr. Hockey of St. Paul or whatever. It really just was a cinder block building with a rink in it, like nondescript. And there was one little area that had like I thought of you, a World War II heater. that you get some semblance. But like, it's cold when it's colder in the building than it is outside, and you see your breath. So that heat definitely helped. What's your hot, Joe?
My hot is Caleb Love, Tar Heel for life.
Of course.
Getting over on Duke one more time.
How did this happen?
Arizona played at Baylor last night. Arizona wins 74-67. Love had 13 points, helped the Wildcats break a 2-game losing streak. But on the other end of it, Jeremy Roach, 6 points.
Oh.
The Duke transfer, once again, falling short against the Tar Heel.
Oh, goodness.
For life.
Oh, goodness. I'm sleepy, and I did not hit the correct outro jingle as we get into Hey Joe. So I apologize. Let me do this correctly. All right, let's get out of here with some Hey Joe. Let's get into the OG Sports Phone. We had some reaction from over the weekend. We're just going to raw dog these. I just know the area codes that they came from, and we'll get through them.
919-444-2211. Call the OG Sports Phone and curse or don't.
Of course, when we go to the OG Sports Phone, it's brought to you by Nature's Relief. Check them out, naturesreliefhempstore.com, RELEAF hempstore.com. They got a little something for you. Always out. Always a little something to sip on. All right, this is from a 540 number.
Hey guys, it's Freddie of Duke Report. I'm leaving John Paul Jones Arena after the Duke 18-point win over Virginia. And this question's for Giglio. Listening to the pod earlier today, I saw he had a ticket, I think, on Duke to a win by 13. I'm wondering now, if Giglio, if you are a true Duke Blue fan for the rest of the season, as long as they keep covering the spread. And also just wondering if you've got a ticket on them for San Antonio. Also, on another side note, listening to the pod earlier today about expansion of the NCAA tournament, I was wondering both of you guys' thoughts on if it did go to 96 teams, can you still fit the bracket on a single piece of paper? I've got a lot of casual friends that join the March Madness brackets who don't watch any games until the tournament actually starts. And my fear is if they expand to 90-some teams, how are they going to keep it on the bracket? Because the bracket does bring out the casual fan who normally doesn't watch basketball. And just wondering your thoughts on that. Anyway, love the pod, and hope you guys are doing well. Talk to you soon.
Let's go last question first.
I want to know if you're the Brotherhood, man.
You would have all 32 playing games the Thursday and Friday before. Then you would start your office pool the next week when it's a 64-team bracket.
Okay.
That way you have one bracket, you're on your way.
But what if you're a true sicko?
You're a true sicko, then you have to turn it this way. And yeah, then
Gotcha.
that's where you go Copiers Plus, copiers-plus.com. That's where you go for that.
But more importantly, are you now part of the Brotherhood?
I have now cashed 2 Duke tickets in a row.
Okay.
And as we talked about yesterday, as long as you don't let me down,
I see.
we will not have to go into Rialto mode. But if you do,
I see.
that is the danger. The double-edged. So no, I don't take them every game. I pick my spots. Virginia's terrible. They had struggled with Cal. I pointed out the second they had struggled with Cal, I knew they were going to hammer Stanford. They did. Mm-hmm. So we'll see how this thing progresses.
All right, let's go to a 336 number.
Joe's, or I guess singular Joe, I should say, since this is in response to Monday's episode. Just thinking about the conversation you guys were having about the NCAA tournament expansion. I too see the Rothstein tweets. And I used to be on his side about not expanding the tournament. I love it the way it is. But I think with seeing the ACC not having everybody make the tournament is one of the reasons why I think there needs to start being some conversation about change and having a shot to get in. But I do like the argument about some of these HBCUs and mid-major schools that I think deserve a shot to get in. And I think it's a great time to give a shout out to my Seahawks over at UNCW. Just got knocked off our 9-game win streak, unfortunately, but, they're a prime example of a team that string together multiple 20-win seasons since Coach Siddle came to town. And, you know, really are in a situation where after beating Kentucky last year, it's kind of hard to find people that want to play us, even after the Kansas game this past year where, unfortunately, we didn't cover the spread. You know, Bill Self is saying, you know, this is a team that's kind of difficult to schedule after seeing what they've done in the past. So I think it'd be great to see a team like that get in. And then even, I know it's hard to compare the women's college basketball scene to the men's like you guys were doing, but I think even a few years ago, you watched the women's game, and unless it's two big teams like UConn and Notre Dame or USC, you don't always know if you're going to get a competitive game or you're going to get a blowout. And now you're starting to see some of that competitiveness be more widespread across the country. I think in the men's game, we've had that for a while where the talent pool is just so much deeper that I think some of these mid-major teams could use more of a shot, especially in a competitive league where it's really hard to run the table and go undefeated to get at large and then steal another bid with the conference tournament winner. So I do think some expansion would be good. But I do worry about the calendar in that sense for the casual fan. But great show as always, guys. Appreciate it, and go Seahawks.
Go Seahawks.
Yeah, to be clear, those are the kind of teams that I want to see get those extra bids.
Yeah, that's the feature of the NCAA.
You look at the CAA right now: Towson 18-9, UNCW 21-6, Charleston 20-7.
Yeah,
I know. My friend Steve Young was trying to say, like, I don't want to see, you know, some 10-10 SEC team get in just because they're adding. Yes, there's going to be more major teams in there, but I think they should make it. If they make this move to 96, they should make more of an effort to include the second and third place teams in these mid-major conferences that are capable and competitive. I want to see more of those slots to go to them.
All right, this is from an 828.
Gentlemen, just want to give a corporate champion shout out here. I'm a frequent Longleaf Swine supporter. I like to go there for lunch just about once a week when I'm in the office. Take a walk down there. Went for brunch for the first time today, though. Fucking spectacular. Best brunch I've had in a long time. Can't wait to go back. Just what a great corporate champion. Just want to give them a shout out here on the show.
Curse or don't.
Hey, man. Perfect.
Curse or don't. All right, this is from a 910.
Hey, guys. Yeah, this is Ben from Chapel Hill. I'm watching Carolina State play their women's game today. I paid more attention to Carolina women's basketball this year than I ever have, considering our men's team. But just want to get y'all's opinion on how the refs are absolutely hosing Carolina women right now. They called literally like 4 fouls that were on the floor, and they turned them into shooting fouls for state free throws. And yeah, we're just getting completely hosed by these refs right now. It's terrible, and they look like they have absolutely no idea what they're doing. But anyway, go Hills.
As I like to tell people, if you think officiating in men's college basketball is bad, buddy, you've never watched the women's game before. It is an adventure.
Yeah. I can take it another level. May I introduce to you 14U hockey tournament officiating. Now we're getting into some interesting calls. All right, this is from a 919.
All right, so it's been about 24 hours or so since I first engaged with Ovius's nonchalance regarding expanding the tournament, the NCAA tournament even more, and so I'm less heated than I was when I first saw it, but...
Well, that hurts when we get confused.
Were they? They thought it was. They thought you were me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm insulted.
I know.
That's insulting. I'm not going to play the rest of that call. This is from another 919.
Hey guys, so Craig from Raleigh. I'm listening to Friday's mailbag, and I had a question. Does Tom Dundon give to the Wolfpack NIL? So I'm literally listening to when you guys say that Dundon does things for Dundon. Does it benefit Tom Dundon if NC State sports are better than the competition around? So if so, I know, NC State has the white whale who doesn't care about sports, but, would Tom Dundon, does he have a vetted interest in making sure NC State's athletics are above par. So have a good week, guys, and hope to hear from you soon.
I saw a sponsored basketball tweet from NC State that included SAS. I almost fell out of the car.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
whoa. There's not a single chance Tom Dundon's giving anyone money that doesn't benefit Tom Dundon. Now, to your question, does it benefit Tom Dundon for NC State basketball to be more competitive or have more people in the building? Maybe, but the way that the financial situation works, anything that's extra goes to State, not to Tom Dundon.
Yeah. So to answer your question, no, Tom Dundon has no incentive to help out with NIL. This is from a 252.
ONG, it's 1922 in the first period of USA versus Canada in the Four Nations. I've been wearing my USA jersey all day. 3 fights in, and this is terrible. This is not what hockey's about anymore. Like this, it's just awful. And this is why the Olympics will always be better than the Four Nations, because it doesn't allow fighting. Like this is not what this tournament should be about. And I hate to sound like a boomer or whatever, but like, what are we doing? So anyways, go USA. Hope they kick Canada's tail. Have a great night.
I mean, they ended up.
That's a take.
That's a surprising thing. I can
You
tell
also
you
wouldn't be a boomer because boomer would want the fighting because that's what was in hockey.
I'll tell you,
it's very millennial of you.
Watching the game with a bunch of 13 and 14-year-olds in a hotel lobby, they absolutely love the fighting because they know they can't do it. So when they see it, they think that's really, really cool. And I guess it's a one-off. I mean, it was the only issue I had with it. It was completely. If you had an issue with it, it was how staged it was. You know what I'm saying? Like there was no like, all right, we're just gonna do this. And the second time it happened, I'm like, oh, okay, all right. But then when the third time, I was like, guys, the point has been made. Let's play some freaking hockey. The first time, cool. Second time, all right, I understand. Third time, no. Come on, let's move with it. But I tell you what, man, kids absolutely loved it. All right, this is from a 919.
Hello, OG. It's 8:26 p.m. on Saturday night, and I apologize for not identifying myself in my previous calls. This is Curtis E. Driver. I want to thank the Big Four in this state, in the ACC. They all won today. Amazing. Thank you.
Is the bar so low that we are happy that it happened this past weekend?
It was a really good bounce back by Wake Forest after they had lost to Florida State in the way that they had lost to Florida State.
Brutal loss.
And to go on the road and win at SMU in the way that they did. Really good win for them. Hopefully we'll get a chance to catch up with Steve Forbes this week before they play the Wolfpack.
All right, last one. This is from a 910.
Hey fellas, enjoy the show. Ain't called in a while. As usual, y'all, I want to call about something, and then y'all address the situation fully on the next episode. So kind of just wait around and watch. But I prefer the radio. I listen to y'all on YouTube, but I like the radio so much I play it like through my truck as if I'm listening to the radio. It's kind of weird. Like I guess it's I just like listening to sports radio because of Gary Hahn through the radio. But anyway, this is a good nerd moment. Y'all are talking about Finland. They were sort of allied with Germany, not because they wanted to be, but because the Russians attacked Finland. And the Russians doing so poorly, or I look at it as the Finns doing so good, they beat the Red Army back, and it caused Germany to want to attack Russia because they were looking at it like, dang, if the Russians can't even beat Finland, we're going to wipe the floor with them. Finland didn't achieve independence until the Communist Revolution. They achieved independence, and the Russians always wanted parts of Finland back. And after World War II, they got what parts they wanted of Finland back. And there really is not much good blood there, according to the people that live in Finland. So that's the situation there. The Finns are very tough people. If you see what they did, outnumbered 10, 12 to 1, fighting the Russians, man, those guys are tough, buddy. But anyway, fellas, it's a good show, and I appreciate what y'all are doing. I usually listen to you once on my phone and once on the TV, just try to get them views up. But I appreciate what y'all are doing.
That might be a good summer series for us. Like, pick a country and let's learn about their history, since I learned so much about Finland in the course of one period of hockey.
Yeah, I know. I think these are things that I should have remembered in college. Having taken
Buddy, we were not taught Finnish or Swedish history.
No, what I'm talking. No.
I have a history degree.
No,
we were not taught any of this shit in American schools.
What I'm saying, I'm talking about World War II dynamics.
Even World War II dynamics were taught through the lens of America.
That's what I'm saying. So, like, I took a European history class at State, and it went through the war, but it still was very centric to the usual suspects that we talk about with World War II. We do not. You're right. We did not get into the weeds of Finland.
No.
Okay. We did not get into those weeds.
The hell out of here.
It's just like, it's a perfect Nature's Relief segment where we get high and we read Wikipedia entries about country history. It might be a summer segment.
No, I got it taught to me by the Swede.
Well,
it wasn't a Wikipedia entry.
No, I get that. What I'm saying is I think it would be funny is if we got high and we read Wikipedia entries about certain countries' histories that we might not have realized. We're like, whoa. Well, you know what? We asked what Aaron Rodgers might do. That might be his next bit. He's on ayahuasca and he just reads Wikipedia entries and tries to act as though that's some sort of history.
I sent you that clip of the Finnish guys pronouncing their names, and I'm like, yeah, because I've been told you have to pronounce every vowel. But I watched that video and I'm like, no, I got no chance.
No chance whatsoever. Anyway, that's going to wrap it up for today's show. We will see y'all Wednesday.